All right, so get to the solutions now. Tell us, where's the hope on the horizon? What can we fight for? What can we do?
So in my petition, what I've done here, and because of course it is a secular court, and by secular, I would also say an anti-God court. So the secular court, the anti-God court, is going to grant the divorce no matter what. And what they'll tell you is that we have no option. Well, there's a lot of things actually. We're fighting it from a constitutional level. So I can tell you that this is a direct attack to Texas Family Code 6.001, which is our no-fault divorce statute. The statute enables petitioners to obtain a divorce for any reason, for no reason. They can make up a reason. The respondent doesn't have to know the reason. There is no defense. This is a statute which it's a lawsuit. First off, we need to remember it's not, oh, they're going to help me through the divorce process. No, this is a lawsuit. You're being sued. And you have no defense. Can you name up any other lawsuit like that? Do you have any? I mean, is there any lawsuit that just the moment that you're alleged to have done something, you're guilty? Maybe if you're Donald Trump over some things, I don't know. But I mean, the reality is that when you're alleged to have done something, you should be able to present a defense. That's what due process is, to be meaningfully heard. There is no defense in the issue of unilateral, forced, no-fault divorce. And by the way, before I continue further, this was an issue that we had in our Texas GOP platform. In 2020, I got the platform changed. It's been around for 15 years, I think it was, that we're calling upon the legislature to rescind no-fault divorce. I put one word into that platform: to rescind unilateral no-fault divorce. Because if you have a contract, and I'm not going to comment on this, but if you have a regular contract, usually you can sue for material breach of the contract, which would be some type of a fault. And usually there's an opportunity to rectify or remedy that fault, or you can get out of the contract by mutual consent. So what I wanted to do by putting in the word unilateral, it would just say that it's a specific type of no-fault divorce, because this gives the respondent, who in many, many instances says, wait a minute, I don't agree with this. And he's watching.
Jeff, let me interrupt real quick. I think
Sure.
1 Corinthians 7 would support that as well, when it says to allow, if the unbelieving spouse chooses to leave, let them go. But it should be up to the person who is being violated, who the person that's being harmed by the breaking of a covenant. Because we're not talking about something that was easily slapped together and easily pulled apart. When you pull something apart like that, everything breaks. So that person has the right by God to say you can go or not go, and what you can go with, what you're allowed to take. If they take anything, it's either theft or it's grace, and they can give as much grace as they want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing with 1 Corinthians 7, which I think people don't recognize, is that even in the context of people abandoning their spouse, the concept, as I understand it, was more so that you had two people, the gospel was preached, one of them became a believer, the other one didn't. So, I mean, it is completely unthinkable in Jesus' mind that two people that are walking with him would be divorced. Now, when you have two unbelievers, one person converts, and it tells the believing spouse, well, if your unbelieving spouse wants to stay with you, do not divorce him. Do not divorce her. But if this person wants to leave, you're not in bondage. God has called us to peace. And I mean, there's a lot of variations among different denominations, religions, Catholic, Orthodox, Protestant, like that, how that gets played out. But again, it's a situation where two people have come to Christ, or one person's come to Christ, the other one has not. This is not written for believer and believer. We are our marriage represents the love of Christ, the relationship of Christ and the church.
And your wife still claims to be a believer.
A strong Christian.
Strong Christian.
And the church will let her get away with that.
That is obscene.
It's worse than obscene. Absolutely, it's obscene. And Joe, I know if we've talked privately about some of the things that these people have said. It is horrible. I'm trying to answer the question, then also I'll get back to this too. But they gave me this thing called a therapeutic separation agreement that they wanted me to sign, and I'm like, what is this therapeutic separation agreement? Well, it was a godless document. And I wrote back, I said, in good conscience, I cannot and I will not sign this. And the very first condition, it says that the husband and wife should get together and talk about the separation. It can be a time of great blessing. First Corinthians says just the opposite. You marry each other, you're one. And now they're taking, well, we're going to split you apart as two. There may be some instances where this is valuable, if in instances of abuse or addiction or adultery or something like that. I can see that. But I also said too, nowhere in the document did it talk about the purpose of God for marriage. There are covenant separation agreements. This had nothing like that. And they said, well, if you can't agree on the separation, it shows that you're in trouble. I'm like, what? And then in the third paragraph, it changed the word from therapeutic separation to temporary separation. I'm like, do you believe in temporary marriages too? Do we have trial marriages?
Jeff,
what is this?
let me include the pastors here and ask them, because I've talked to them both about this before, and I know what they're going to say. Guys, how do we reconcile Paul in 1 Corinthians 7 with Jesus's statement that you can't have a divorce except for sexual immorality, if not to say that any separation is divorce? I mean, I think that's the only logical way. I think every other theological idea about divorce is just inconsistent.
Yeah, I think the advice that pastors give, well, why don't you take a time of separation, is basically saying, here, why don't you take this poison pill in the middle of your healing, and hopefully this is going to work out well for you.
Yeah, nobody's jumping back in the fire. I think it's 8% of people who go through counseling while they're separated come back together, because you're not jumping in that fire. You got to fight through the pain together. If you're separated, you're not going back to that pain. You just won't.